sea to shining sea.
Gray? Jerem? Milton was absent. Pauls? Thompson? Gurnett? Mr. President?
The Supreme Court says we can stand or remain standing for an invocation by Councilmember Franklin Thompson.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The result of today has to do with fire prevention, and in my time here on the council, I would say that the last 12 months there have been, it appears to be more fires than at any time in our recent history. And so one thing we want to do is intercede on behalf of those who have been victims of fires, and then we want to
stress fire safety this summer. But not only that, we want to thank the fire department for doing such a good job in responding, and that's both to the residents, but also, if you heard lately, as not too long ago, we had a devastating fire up at UNO. And so for the purpose of fire safety and protection and prevention, and to thank our fire department, we want to put that out there as just a thought for the day. Thank you very much.
City Clerk certified publication of the Daily Record on May 2nd. Notice for a pre-council and regular City Council meeting May 6, 2014. Current copy of the Openings Act is posted in white binder on the east wall of the legislative chambers.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Omaha City Council. This meeting is conducted in public and by law may only address the topics listed on the published agenda. The council will hear testimony but will not engage in debate of issues with the public at this meeting. During testimony, it's not appropriate to applaud or convey disapproval. These actions only detract from the formal decorum of the meeting. At this time, please turn off or mute any electronic device.
Resolutions ready preliminary plats and plats. Item number 5, resolution of preliminary plat entitled West Greyhawk Replat 3, located southwest of 147th Street and West Maple Road along attached conditions. Hereby accepted in preparation of final plat is hereby authorized. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on number 5 is today. Proponents, please. Mr. Thielen.
Jason Thielen, E&A Consulting Group, 330 North 117th Street, Omaha. Here on behalf of the applicant. Just real quick, we were at Planning Commission a few months ago where I was on consent agenda. We've had no opposition. We've met with neighbors. And so moving forward to at this point for this approval, I'd just be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Roll call.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
It's adopted. Thanks. 6-0. Pursuant to City Council Rule 70, agenda item number 6 shall be laid over 2 weeks. Liquor, item number 7, Heartland Cafe and Catering, 2613 North Main Street, Class I liquor license, no application, no location.
Public hearing on number 7 is today. Proponents, please.
My name is Jen Hewlett. Address is 2613 North Main Street, Elkhorn 68022, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Jen, when we got our police report, it was kind of an interesting report, but we noticed this morning we were saying that it was not you, but rather your spouse. Is that correct?
Yes.
For the record, are you willing to say that there's going to be a separation between he and you when it comes to the daily operations of the establishment?
Yes, sir.
So as for the record, you're saying that he will not be part of that daily operation, correct?
No, he will not be.
Okay. And then in addition to, will you describe yourself as a bar or a restaurant?
A restaurant.
And currently, you are only open from 6:30 in the morning until about 2.
Yes.
Breakfast and lunch.
Yes.
So your future plans are to try and have some evening hours open, and that'll be a new venture for you.
Yes.
And you've only owned this since April?
7th. Yep.
April 7th.
Yep.
And so this is a Class I. You want to serve alcohol with food, and you're not selling anything to be taken out of the building.
No.
Okay. Anything else that you'd like to say?
No.
Okay. To my colleagues, I'd like to say that I do believe that everything that's said has been true, and that this is a safe bet, and I believe Jen would do well and help bring economic and entertainment value to that area of Elkhorn. So with that, I'll move the approval.
Thank you. Roll call.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem.
Yes.
Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Thank you.
Approved.
Thank you so much.
6-0. Item number 8, Amigos Market, 2102 Q Street. Also a beer license and application, new location. You have an amendment to amend the address to 2104 Q Street.
Public hearing on number 8 is today. Proponents, please come down.
Amigos Market. I just want to sell it, just the liquor and grocery, just a little. 2104 Q Street,
What's,
Omaha, Nebraska.
what's your name?
Pastor Rivera.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Motion to amend to 2104.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Pauls. Thompson. Gurnett. Mr. President.
Yes.
And move approval as amended.
Second.
Roll call.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Pauls. Thompson. Gurnett.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
It's adopted as amended, 6-0.
Thank you.
Item number 9, The Mills at 13806 P Street. Request permission for an addition to the present Class C liquor license of an outdoor area approximately 28 by 9 to the east.
Public hearing on number 9 is today. Proponents, please.
Yes, hello, my name is J.D. Cunningham, General Manager of the Mill, 7517 North 73rd Avenue. I'm here to answer any questions or comments you may have.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Pauls.
Thank you, Mr. President. J.D., I have a question.
Sure.
I know where the mill is located, and you are going to have the outside on where the parking lot is right now? Is that where you're going to?
Well, it's a current patio already. We just have not been utilizing it for the first year we've been open. It is on the parking lot side. Well, the bar is on the end of the strip mall, so we have a parking lot on two sides, so it is on the east side of the building.
The east side. Okay, as I'm visualizing it, I know there's an apartment complex right behind you and a few houses.
Correct.
Do you plan to have music at this outside?
No.
Okay, it's just for eating and drinking, is what you're talking.
That is correct.
Okay.
It's typically for dining and then both for alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is that a motion?
Yep.
Motion and a second. Roll call.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Approved, 6-0. Item number 10, American Dream, 7402 F Street. Request permission for an addition to the present Class C liquor license of an outdoor area approximately 200 by 590 to the north, and a sidewalk area on 3 sides of the building, 42 feet by 12 feet. On the west and east, 60 feet by 12, and on the south, a storage shed approximately 27 by 32. And there's a request for an amendment to the big area to make it 20 by 500, or from 200 and 529 to 217 feet by 333 feet to the north.
Public hearing on number 10 is today. Proponents, please.
Yes, Casey Rowe, owner-manager, 2137 South 113th Street, Omaha 68144.
Thank you. Any other proponents? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Pauls.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a diagram of the size of the area that you're requesting, and it seems extremely large as I take a look at your building.
Yes, it's the outdoor area and towards the north side. We're hoping to be able to do motorcycle and car events and various other little things. We're trying to make it easier to police in that one area because we have an inside and an outside area, 2 gated areas where you can come in and throughout.
Okay, I see where your gates are, and I see your building. It just seems like an extremely large area.
It was just a lot, we thought it to be a lot simpler, because when you get several motorcycles in there for parking or car shows in there for parking, versus if we're going to have a large event like, if we do a car show and a bike show, it made it more sense to utilize that area because the fence is already there on the left side and the right side.
Okay. I have the diagram.
Yes.
Is that,
Yes.
do you happen to have that diagram on you?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Could I show?
Put it up?
Yeah. And I'll just have you sort of explain this to.
Yeah, the paved road that's already there on the backside, right here as you come in, and then there's another gate on the backside here, and we have a storage area in the back. We were just requesting that we could have the whole area liquor license like other venues that get a chance to do that.
But that's usually on a 1 or 2 day. You're asking, this is like forever and a day.
Yeah, but we're not something that we're using all the time. We're trying to anticipate hopefully a good Wednesday night bike night, trying to do Thursday night car shows. We do have some one-man bands that we'd like to put together for Friday and Saturdays.
This is in an industrial area, right?
Yes, correct. There's no homes or anything close by at all.
Okay. Just point out to where the bar actually is.
It'll be right here. This
The
is
bar,
the
right now.
Yeah, the bar would be right here in this area, right out the back door. There'll be a bar that's going to be right here in this area. Also porta potties and a band stage will be right here.
And the actual bar right now, where is it located?
Oh, this whole building here.
Okay. So actually, what you're requesting is probably 1.5 again size of your establishment. 3.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Well, it's several times larger than the actual building.
Yes. Well, we're 2 stories tall, so we're
Okay.
5,000 square feet, both on the top level and the lower level.
See, I could support this if I thought this was going to be like on a weekend, you needed 2 weekends, but on a full-time situation, I'm troubled a little bit about the size of it, to be honest with you.
Well, if I may say, we've done a really good job for 11 years taking care of both abiding by all restrictions and laws and everything that we needed to do. We're hoping to have the same opportunity as other places have had. We're not trying to do how do I say this the right way? The wrong demographics of a crowd that creates havoc, I should say, with a lot of people. We're trying to make it to where it's very comfortable and very welcoming I ride bikes myself, and I love the opportunity to have bike night, car show nights, outdoor live music. It would be very much appreciated as many places have tried to do really large events. And I can understand the concern of the size, but it just makes so much more sense with that area. I don't want to have taken a gate on the lower half, trying to separate and squeeze people in a really small, condensed area. We have security both at this gate and at this gate, plus we have 2 roaming securities to monitor. We don't allow anybody that'd be under 21 of age to be in there drinking, and, of course, we're not. I just hope that the size.
Casey, to me, it's just a year-round venture that I probably have a little bit of trouble with.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Councilman Pauls, first of all, the gentleman says he wants to have an opportunity like everybody else, but actually this is very atypical. And what I would be willing to do if he wants to modify his proposal, his petition, and if you give us a specific date and you want to apply for an SDL, special designated license, and then you do 4 or 5 of these things within maybe, let's say, a 3 or 4 month period, and then they go well, then maybe I might consider your request. But to just give the whole area 24/7 and I guess, as you say, forever and a day status, it's just atypical. We haven't done that, and I'm not comfortable doing that. But I would be willing to have him do one SDL or a couple of SDLs and then see how it works and see if he can earn the right. So that's my position. But I would vote no as it stands right now.
Thank you. Mr. Burnett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Rowe, how long have you had this facility?
This facility since November.
Since November?
Yeah, we moved to this location primarily just because we were on 120th and Center trying to do outdoor stuff. It didn't seem to make sense in that area with all the residents, and our other neighbor that was there during that complex was doing rather large events, causing a lot of problems that was looking bad on us too. So this building came as an opportunity, a zoning. It was there's nothing around it, no churches, no schools, no houses, no nothing. So we took this opportunity to remodel the building. I've spent a lot of time and effort and energy trying to focus in on the outside. I know many other venues have had success doing an outside venue. We've looked at many of the vans, Fish Heads, Chad Lee doing, Wednesday night bike night right now across the river seems to do very well, and it seems like they're going all over there to Quaker State. And with Harley Davidson right there, we have support from, we have Dylan Harley Davidson's going to be doing a poker run through there. It would just make a lot, and I appreciate and I understand where you're saying apply for like 4 SDLs. We've got June through September to make value of outside and to make value of that work. And as well as I've done, running our liquor license for 11 years, I would like that opportunity to do just as well outside.
And what you're showing us here, this whole outside area is completely fenced in.
Yeah, there is
as
the
I
backside.
call it.
Yeah, on the backside here to the north, there's a natural creek that we would have to continue to fence in on that, and we've already sought getting that done. We were just waiting to get the approval to get the permit to finish this part of the fence off. Mm-hmm. But that's the only area that is not fenced in because it's a natural creek, but it would make more sense to fence it in, mm-hmm. because it's a natural barrier that's a lot more safer.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember back in the day, early on, when this was part of my district. I don't recall having any serious issues with the previous property owner, and I'm willing to give a person one chance. Mr. Clerk, does your record indicate anything that the council should be aware of in regards to the current operation?
Buster Brown, City Clerk, no, he's run a good operation. He is right in the fact that there was 2 operators right out there at 120th and off of Center, and the other one was causing serious problems because there's neighbors right there, and he was doing some very loud music. And there was issues, but it wasn't with him, it was with the other operator.
Mr. Mumgard, I saw you pop out of the chair here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Tom Mumgard, Deputy City Attorney. I'd just point out a couple things. I'll give you the pros and cons of something like this. We have a couple places in town that have licensed the entire parking lot. The principal one being the mattress factory over by the ballpark, where they regularly hold events. The legal requirement is just simply that they have a permanent fence surrounding the outdoor area. The policy considerations that I say pro and con are, first off, from the city standpoint, you lose some control over the events that happen outdoors there. in that the enforcement is after the fact. If there is a problem, then you have to enforce it, as opposed to when they have to come and get an SDL, they have to get your approval beforehand and explain what they're going to do. So you have a little bit better control over what's going to happen and the consequences of it in the outdoor area if you require SDLs. The principal one would be the hours of operation, the music outdoors. If it's licensed, it's the same as inside any bar. They don't have to ask your permission to have music up to 2 a.m. Secondly, from the bar owner's standpoint, it presents enforcement issues, primarily because the majority of the time that area is going to be used for something completely different from the consumption of alcohol. But it's licensed premises, so the rules apply to that area the same as they do inside the bar. So when somebody sits in that parking lot on a cold January night and opens a can of beer and starts drinking it, that could be a violation of liquor laws. Cold January night, somebody sits in a car out there and lights up a joint. Well, that's the same from the bar owner's standpoint as if they've lit it up inside the bar. So there are enforcement issues, both from the standpoint of the bar owner. It's much more difficult to control what happens out there because so often it has nothing to do with the sale of alcohol. Then on the other hand, from the bar owner's standpoint, it gives them a great deal of flexibility because with an SDL they have to have better planning. They got to plan ahead and apply. There's some time limits and come and get your approval. So from his standpoint, as far as having events there, yeah, this is for his advantage. From our standpoint of enforcing the law, it's got some disadvantages.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. President. In order to try and seek perhaps maybe a compromise here, I'm just wondering if maybe we can, and I don't know if this is doable or not, Mr. Mumgard, but I'm just wondering if we can do it for this summer only and then review it and see if we had any issues with it. I mean, I don't know how you would feel about that. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head what would be what my colleagues could live with and what you could live with, or some sort of agreement or arrangement surrounding that.
Yeah, I respect every concern of every council member here and the public about an area of this size on what you could possibly do with it. I've ran a really good operation. Violations, I can't even think of one, honestly, but I know that we've had great responses with, like we turned in 162 fake IDs one year alone, just from what we were able to confiscate from the other venue. I just want the same opportunity as everybody else has had. I'm not looking to do. I understand you have to look at both the negative and the positive side because it is something this large. But I'm hoping that we get the opportunity to prove that we can do great venues, great opportunities, a great place and where everybody can enjoy the outside area. I've got several dollars set aside and budgeted for putting this together, and I'm hoping that we can follow through with it and continue to have something great, and always, as every other license, looked at, reviewed, what have you. But I'm hoping we're always under that microscope of always can be reviewed at any given time to be looked at whether certain operations are doing wrong or bad. And I kind of sunk a lot of money into this investment because of the last place we were at. The neighbors that had moved in the last year and a half that I was there was constant problems with outdoor loud music, outdoor violations. So that was why we took this investment on. And I think the zoning in itself, that no houses or anything close by, is even better.
I guess you're helping to make the point for me a little bit. I'm trying to see if there's a compromise between some of my colleagues and
yes,
you. Sir. We normally. Councilmember Thompson is right. We don't normally do something this big. But I don't know that because we've not done it that we shouldn't do it. But I'm trying to figure out if we can do it in a way where, like, maybe we can do it one summer and then review what it is, because he has been a good operator, you have been a good operator, you went to the extent of looking for another place because you couldn't abide by the place you were at because there were too much problems from the other establishment owners. So I guess I'm wondering if we can, afford some sort of compromise, because I would hate to see again an investment like this and not give you an opportunity to do it. I guess the other thing I'm wondering too is, would you go till 2 o'clock on this?
Yeah, because even if you were just to walk out 10 feet from the building, you'd be within up to 2 o'clock.
So whatever outdoor activity you would have until about 2 o'clock.
Well, we usually run about 1:45 where we, 1:30 to where we can police the area to get all of our drinks up.
I'm just thinking of it as a compromise. Mr. Mumgard, I don't even know if can we do that for the summer and then review it at the end, have the law committee look at it, again at the end of the summer?
I think you can accomplish it. Tom Mumgard, Deputy City Attorney. I think you can accomplish it, but it's a two-step process. The law gives him the right to renew it November 1st, and we would have to come in and show some reason why he shouldn't be renewed, the long-form application process. As the alternative, if he agreed to accept a license for this area with the condition that he will not renew it in November 1st without the council's approval, then his failure to abide by that condition would be grounds for revocation of his entire license. But you need that two-stepper to get there.
Okay, so the first step would be
he agrees to the condition.
To the condition, and that he won't apply for it without coming to the council first.
Correct. He could apply for indoors, or perhaps you could restrict it to the indoors and the smoking deck, but the area that's added in the parking lot, he would agree that he will not renew that without the council's approval.
I guess my final comment would be, I guess I'm just concerned about having a decent operator be hamstrung to a certain extent. And I understand the fear, and I don't necessarily disagree with it. I'm just wondering if there's some sort of a compromise there that we might reach that makes him have to come back to us.
He needs to react.
Okay. Your thoughts about that?
I guess that is my option. If that's what we have to do, I have no problem at any time meeting with any of the council and going over anything that we need to do. That is by far my pleasure to, at any given time that you'd like to meet with me, discuss it, or, again, come meet with you before I reapply, whatever I got to do there, whatever form I would have to do there. By all means, I have no problem with that.
I'm just wondering, if you can agree to that,
sure.
I think that might go a long way towards, convincing some of my colleagues who are a little more skeptical, and I understand the skepticism. I mean, we've had our round with places that are not doing well and are problem establishments for us. So just wondering but you seem to operate well.
Yes.
You were responsible enough to move from where you were because of the issues there to another place that's a little bit more isolated. So, I mean, I guess I'm thinking that my comment would be, if you'd be willing to do that, I'd be willing to support it.
Oh, I'd be willing, without a problem. And at the same time, I just appreciate the opportunity to earn my spot, as many as other people have had that chance.
Okay.
So, yes.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Jerem.
One thing I think that I'd like to add to this, besides to echo a little bit what Councilmember Thompson said, is that this is atypical. The difference is on yours, as I see it, between this application and, say, the Mattress Factory, is they demonstrated through the SDL process their acumen in terms of event management and large, let's say, big attendance events. They first came through a number of years and seasons with the special designated permits, and they found a way with, is the limit 6, Mr.?
Yes.
12 SDLs a year to do that for a few years, demonstrate that they were capable not just inside the establishment, but outside, and how they would police it, how they would handle music events and all those other things. So I actually thought your suggestion for year one would not require us to take this leap of faith to determine whether or not there's the capabilities there of the proprietor, but actually give him the opportunity in a reasonable fashion. 12 permits is...
6. It's actually, Buster Brown, City Clerk, I don't want to disagree with any attorney in town, but it's actually 6.
Yeah, let me clarify it. We're talking two different limitations. As he stands now, he can only have 6 in a calendar year.
Yes.
If you got a catering license, he could have unlimited. Once you get to 12, the commission says you have to decide, are you going to license it or are you going to keep doing SDLs?
Thank you. So the MAT came back season after season with 6. They found a way to make that work. They tweaked the things they needed to tweak. They, I think, even had the liquor commission or commissioners go with the city clerk and maybe even Mr. Mumgard, and they went on a tour. And so there was a lot more procedural safeguards that the public had in that case before the council was asked for a year-round permit. And that's so I think there's some wisdom to what Mr. Thompson was saying, and that's where. And I'm not asking you a question at this point. I'm just telling you where I stand. That's where I think is a reasonable accommodation rather than go right into this.
Can I say one more thing, if you don't mind?
Please. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I was kind of understood about, the Mattress Factory, I think a lot of their SDLs was in consecutive with the College World Series events. I could be wrong, I could be right, but I think that they were doing a lot of that for that 2-week window or that 10-day window for the College World Series events. I'm not sure. I don't know if it was a consistent. So they had the probability of expecting thousands of people and could market and put together. You know, one of the things that I've done and with my team is, you know, we're PPCT certified, has been for years, that I maintain with all of my security staff. We've hired, if you look at the incident reports over the years, we've had, I think, 2 in 11 years that were incidents out in the parking lot of our old locations. But yet again, the other tenant that was at that location had more like 7 in less than 6 or 8 months. Again, another reason why I left. It was just, you know, a lot of the reasons why I left was I thought our license in itself was going to be damaged being next door to another place that could not control their crowd or could not control the circumstances in which they were getting SDLs and going past 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, noise ordinance issues and so on. I really hope that my proactiveness by taking on the expense of investing into another location with no neighbors in a strip mall scenario that shows us how well we've ran before, how well we can run again. Again, we weren't violated at all with any of those incidences next door.
And you're just kind of repeating yourself at this point. What I'm saying has no reflection on how you've been as an operator. I'm sure you run a fine business, and you've done so within the walls of your licensed establishment for years, as you say. The clerk has backed that up. And the same was true for the Mattress Factory. And yes, they do have 2 weeks a year that they were primarily with the College World Series, but they also came to us for other events.
I see.
And there was, believe me, there was a number of things that they worked out that with their neighbors, with the hotels, with sound engineers from Chicago, I think, that were brought in to advise them on how they could design their acoustical band setup so they wouldn't, to be least offensive to their neighbors. And so I'm sure you're gung-ho and ready to jump right into this. I just sense that, for me, I'm not ready to make that leap. And I think that the SDL process will allow you for season one to refine how an entertainment venue you could be before asking us to make that leap. And I'd also say there's other issues I didn't even get in here today. You know, if you're going to be outdoor, you know, is porta potty the reasonable thing to do year round? Should there be restrooms? Should there, you know, there's a number of things, lighting, all these other things we haven't gotten to. But if you go the SDL route for this season, you have an opportunity to work through all those things. You have an opportunity to bring Mr. Mumgard, Mr. Brown, maybe the liquor commissioners, or, you know, one or more of them down, maybe the liquor committee, so we can go to these events like we did with the other venue and form that then working knowledge of how things are going to work on the outside of your walls. So again, I'm sure you are a fine proprietor, and that does not enter into my thinking whatsoever. I just shared with you where I'm at.
I understand.
Thank you. No further lights?
Well, yeah, you either have to vote it up or down. Now, Buster Brown, City Clerk, if you're thinking of voting it down, you might at least amend it and allow him to have the outside areas around the bar, the sidewalk cafes, and the smoking area in the back with the deck as an alternative, and not the whole big, if he would agree to that, because it appears at this point that it's probably not going to pass. But that's just an assumption.
So can we make a floor amendment to...
Well, I think he has to agree to that, though. Would he not? What? He'd have to ask. Pardon? Okay.
Motion approved.
First of all, we have... Well, there's an amendment we need anyway, because the area was incorrect. What?
Motion approved. Second.
Well, there's no... He wants to vote it down.
With no conditions, or the condition that... With no conditions, it sounds like, and that's the second?
Yeah.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Milton, or is that absent? Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
No.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Mr. President. So just a clarification, this is a motion to approve with no...
Anything.
The outdoor area, no conditions, no...
Yep.
Well, no.
And
As written.
without the amendment.
I don't think the commission...
Okay. Mr. President?
My vote was no. I was interested in the conversation about some restrictions, but this would just pass with no restrictions.
It's adopted on a 4-2 vote.
The commission.
So it goes to the commission. It's so far been approved.
I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
What? The amendment? Oh, the amendment will be placed on file. Item number 11, Carlisle's Hotel Omaha, 10909 M Street. Request permission to appoint Rebecca Gentanio, manager.
Public hearing on number 11 is today. Proponents, please.
Hi, Rebecca Gentonio. I'm a manager at the Carlisle Hotel, 10909 M Street.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Approved 6-0.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Item number 12, Big Red Kino is granted approval to operate a satellite at Tailgaters Sports Bar, 2603 South 120th Street.
Public hearing on number 12 is today. Proponents, please. Ms. Coffey.
Mr. President, members of the council, my name is Katrina Coffey. I'm Vice President of Marketing for Big Red Kino. We're located at 11248 John Galt Boulevard. And I have with me today Claire, one of the owners, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Motion approved.
Second, roll call.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes. Thanks.
Adopted
you.
6-0. Consent agenda. Any member of City Council may cause an item placed on the consent agenda to be removed. Items removed from consent agenda shall be taken up by City Council immediately following the consent agenda in the order in which they were removed, as otherwise provided by City Council rules of order.
Public hearings on agenda items number 13 through 15 were held on April 29th.
Motion approved. Second.
Roll call.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
13 through 15 pass 6-0.
Public hearings on agenda items number 16 through 31 are today. If you wish to address the City Council regarding these items, please come to the microphone, indicate the agenda item number you wish to address, identify yourself by name, address, and who you represent, and if you are a proponent or an opponent. Seeing none, public hearings are closed.
Motion approved. Second.
Roll call.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
16 through 31 are adopted 6-0. Pursuant to City Council Rules 7A, due to no meeting being held May 27th, agenda item number 32 should be laid over 4 weeks to January 3rd, or to June 3rd for publication and public hearing. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7D, the public hearing agenda item number 33 shall be held on third reading. Ordinances on second reading, planning board attachments. Item number 34, ordinance vacating the west 14 feet of 9th Street to Leavenworth Street North. A, planning board and the planning department recommend approval.
Public hearing on number 34 is today. Proponents, please.
Hi, Mark Johnson, 11440 West Center Road, appearing on behalf of the property owner to the west, City Ventures. Here to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Ordinance on final reading, item number 35, ordinance approving a redevelopment tax center financing loan agreement between the city and 144 South 39th LLC to implement the 39th and Farnham Tax Center Financing and Redevelopment Project Plan, which proposes the redevelopment of a project site located at 144 South 39th Street and 3904 through 3908 Farnham Street into a professional executive suites, commercial office, real estate space, and a green space.
Public hearing on number 35 is today. Proponents, please. Ms. Hadley.
Good afternoon, Bridget Hadley, here to address questions you may have.
Thank you. Any other proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to make a brief comment. Bridget, thank you, first of all. I just wanted to make a comment about, because we hear sometimes about, our unwillingness to save old buildings, and I think we've got a number of buildings now that we can reflect upon and say, we've done a really good job in terms of renovating and establishing and building on old buildings. So just wanted to make that comment. And again, this is another project that is going to create infill and is going to be a place of residence, and a number of things are going to occur there. So wanted to thank the developer and always the planning department for your efforts to continue to do these projects. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next item.
Item number 36, ordinance approving an agreement for the sale of city-owned real property to enter into an agreement with Habitat for Humanities of Omaha to convey property in the North and South Omaha Neighborhood Redevelopment Site Strategy Area.
Public hearing on number 36 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item number 37, ordinance approved payment to HP Financial Services for lease over a 3-year period of computers for the City of Omaha Public Library.
Public hearing on number 37 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Pursuant to City Council Rule 7D, the public hearing agenda items number 38 through 42 shall be held on the third reading. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7C, the public hearing agenda items 43 through 47 shall be held on the second reading.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Roll call.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem.
Yes.
Pauls. Thompson.
Yes.
Gurnett. Mr.
Yes.
President.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful for spacious sky.